We all need advice, but it's not always clear who to ask, even in 2026, which is why I recommend checking out How To, the long-standing advice show and 2026 Ambie Award-nominated Best Personal Growth Podcast. This is a Mike Pesca podcast. I've been a fan of Mike's for many, many years. He has interviewed me a few times, and I will tell you, from the first time I met him, I said to him, he asks questions that are smart, that are granular, that get to the bottom of things, that clearly reflect active listening. I actually, in many ways, have pointed to Mike Pesca as somebody who, as I learned how to do Beautiful Anonymous, I was listening to how he interviewed people and saying, oh, what an amazing listener. I can start being the same way. It's really great. I like him a lot, and I think you're going to like this show. How To is back with new episodes. Mike Pesca is the new host, award-winning journalist, great guy. Each week, Mike tackles a listener question ranging from travel to finance to relationships and beyond, with help from world-class experts who actually know what they're talking about. Think of it as eavesdropping on someone else's therapy session without the copay or the awkward silence. If you've heard that description and you're a Beautiful Anonymous fan, you know you're going to like this show. No questions too big or too specific, like how to protect the elderly from scammers or how to take psychedelics for your mental health, even how to make a how-to podcast. You've got questions, they'll find the answers. Follow How To with Mike Pesca on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Hello to everybody who got on a boat, not fully anticipating what that entailed. It's Beautiful Anonymous. 1 hour, one phone call, no names, no holds barred.
I'd rather go one-on-one. I think it'll be more fun, and I'll get to know you, and you'll get to know me.
Hi everybody, Chris Gethard here. I know not everybody loves an intro. If you're looking to get right to the start of the phone call, you're going to skip about 4, maybe 5 minutes ahead. It's right in that range, put you right towards the start of the phone call. Enjoy it. Hi everybody, Chris Gethard here. Welcome to another episode of Beautiful Anonymous. So psyched to be here, talking to you, doing the thing. 10 years of a show where we get real stories from real people, nothing particularly filtered or edited, barely any screening ahead of time. We just launch into conversations with real people, and I've taken to saying we get to know the human condition one anonymous phone call at a time. Feel so lucky to be here with you. Also feel so lucky to everybody who might want to support my shows. Just to let you know, this is coming out on Tuesday, June 9th. On June 11th, I'm doing a show in New York. It's called What's in the Dumpster. It's a 10-year anniversary of the best episode of my old TV show. It's all sold out in person. You can buy a streaming ticket, $10. I think it's going to be a pretty magical night. I'm also doing shows. I got a show in Jersey that's almost sold out. That's on the 19th at the Vogel, which is that part of the Count Basie in Red Bank. I'm doing the Comedy Studio up in Boston on July 18th. Crooked Mouth Brewing in Endicott, New York. That's on October 16th, and I got shows being announced in both, North Carolina and Georgia and Florida coming up in October as well. So all of those tickets are available at punchup.live/Chris Gethard. If the tickets aren't on sale yet, it's because I don't have the links yet, but they will be up there soon. Okay. What else do we need to talk about? Most of all, thanks to everybody in this community who's really kind, really lovely, and really relaxed. I have to tell you, I don't know if you guys have picked up on it through the phone calls. I am wound tight. I am wound very, very tight lately. And I've many things in my life that cause me stress. And one thing that I'm so aware of and so grateful for is that when I think about what causes me stress and when I talk about what causes me stress, Beautiful Anonymous is never on that list of things. What a miracle. What a miracle to do a thing for 10 years and never feel stressed out by it. 100% true. Thank you all so much for being a really incredible community who supports this strange idea that proved valuable. In case anybody's worried, I always like to be honest with the Beautiful Anonymous community. I will tell you, I've been wound really tight lately, like I said, been having a tough go of it in some ways, but I'm not somebody who sits on my laurels with that. I'm somebody who's been around the block enough times. I'm starting with a new therapist on Friday, And I say that out loud because there is no shame in it. There is nothing to be worried about with it. It's something I like talking about. And if you are out there wondering if it's time to see a therapist, I can tell you. Am I particularly psyched when my last therapist, I saw her for 18 years, and now I have to start over at square one with someone new? Nope, that's an uphill climb. That's daunting. That feels in many ways like something where I have to take a deep breath and go, okay, we're diving back in. But you know what? We'll dive back in and we'll get it done. And that's where the work is in life. And that's how you take care of yourself. That's how you are your best version of yourself for the people you're around. I'm going to put in the work. Okay. This week's episode, talk about putting in the work. This week's episode, I think, is a classic. I think people are going to love it. The beginning feels very much about feeling it out, connecting. But when I tell you that as this call continues to unfold, you will hear stories about boat life, but you will also hear stories about family life. I was particularly fascinated, and I don't want to spoil too much. This caller, we have our families that we are born into, we have our families that we find. And this caller's found family, we talk about during the call. This caller really, I think, I mean, there's no other way to put it, even though it sounds a little schmaltzy. Love is real, and it has to be, because this caller is living proof of it. This caller shows that love will make you opt into situations that are difficult, that are emotionally challenging, that ask a lot of you, that require sacrifice. But that love makes it worth it. And and I'll tell you, it just keeps going. Just when you think, okay, there can't be more, there is more, always, with this caller. We also hear about how this caller, to this day, opens up her life in efforts to support others. That's a very running trend you will find out about. I was so blown away, so impressed by the caller, and I think you will be too. Enjoy the call.
Thank you for calling Beautiful Anonymous. A beeping noise will indicate when you are on the show with the host.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm not having a great week, but that's okay. I always try to be honest. I can't be too specific, but I'm having a rough week. But I'm psyched to talk to you. This is actually something I'm psyched to dive into the show. I think in the same way that it's a distraction for other people sometimes, I'm psyched to distract myself from real life. Sorry to put pressure on you. That was weird.
No.
Hi. How are you?
I have had not a great couple weeks, but I am going on vacation tomorrow. I took most of the day off today, and I'm talking to you, so I think things are turning around for me, personally.
That's awesome. Where are you going on vacation?
Oregon. I have not been out. I'm East Coast. I've been to the West Coast before, but never to Oregon. We're going to do a little bit on like the coast and a little bit in the wine country, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
I was just at a comedy festival in Cannon Beach.
I'm aware because I looked it up when it was going to be, because I was like, what if he's there while I'm there? And then but the timing didn't work, obviously.
What a lovely area. And just driving from Portland out to Cannon Beach, it is one of those reminders that when you, in specific, when you drive around America, no matter how much American politics are stressing you out, no matter how divided we feel, you go and drive around in America and you're like, oh, right, it's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous country. And that stretch of them was a good reminder of that. So I hope you feel some peace and some serenity, because I know I did.
Yeah, I'll be doing that tomorrow. Later than this, but yeah, I will be doing that tomorrow, and I will be like, Chris was right.
Nice. Well, I'm sorry you're having a stressful few weeks as well.
Yeah, it's okay. We all are, apparently. But the other thing, before I get into the meat of it, I have, this is such a stretch. I don't know. My mom's from Bergen County, so I grew up going to Bergen County in the summer in New Jersey. And I don't. A lot of times when you're talking about North Jersey, you're saying words and phrases that are very reminiscent to me. So
I love it. I do have to tell you, I realized about a year and a half ago that Bergen County is my North Jersey blind spot, whereas usually Jersey people, I might even be able to guess like what town you're from or what neighborhood you're in. Bergen County has so many tiny little towns, and I haven't been to most of them. But my guess is that you've probably, if you were growing up hanging out in Bergen County, especially if you were going back to visit family, this means you were probably doing iconic childhood stuff, which tells me you probably have had burgers at the White Manna in Hackensack. Is that true?
Yeah.
Probably have had crumb cake from B&W Bakery, maybe bagels from T-Neck Bagels, I haven't been, but people say that's the best bagel in New Jersey, which is a tall order. Also, people from oh yeah.
Go ahead. No, go please.
Well, I was just gonna say too. Also, people from Bergen County are very, very convinced that the Glen Rock, which is a giant rock that the town of Glen Rock is named after, they are convinced that it has massive cultural influence, and outside of Bergen County, it does not. No one else in New Jersey is particularly hung up on the Glen Rock, or as they call it, the Glen Rock. But I know that some people really care about the Glen Rock. I got to get out there and see it myself.
I'm from a really, where I grew up was a pretty small town. So what always, it just always amazed, the malls in North Jersey. I know.
Out in Paramus.
Paramus was the lights of, it was amazing.
There were so many malls. Between Route 17 and Route 4, so many malls in Bergen County. So many.
Have you been
Garden
to American
State Plaza.
Dream? Because it's pretty close to you.
Okay, have you been to American Dream?
I went last year. I went in December, actually.
Everybody needs to buckle up right now because this could be a massive tangent. I want to make sure we talk about whatever you talk about, but I have to say this. I resisted going. So the American Dream Mall, for anybody who doesn't know, is this really massive mall that they built right next to Giant Stadium. So if you watch at the NFL, the Meadowlands, it's right there. And it was massive. And for years, it was closed. And there were all these rumors that they had an indoor ski jump. And it was built and sitting there, and it looked kind of ugly. They called it Xanadu for a while. Everybody was like, what is this embarrassing thing sitting off the highway that never even opened? Everybody was kind of down on it all over New Jersey. Then they opened it up as the American Dream Mall. I won't lie. I resisted going. Finally went a few months ago with Hallie and Cal. When I tell you that I was buckling up to be like, this is about to be so cheesy, and almost instantly was like, this is my favorite place in New Jersey, that it was an instant turnaround. That mall is crazy. Malls everywhere are dying, and it's almost like they took every other mall and they were like, okay, if all the malls are dying, let's just make one mall the most ridiculous mall that has ever mauled. When you enter, at least from the entrance, you could enter so many places, but I entered in an entrance where one of the things they had was a kiosk where children could rent animal-shaped scooters. You get a little lion, zebra, elephant. You saw this shit, right?
This is where I entered, too. And the children I was with were immediately like, I want to do that. And we were like, we bought amusement park tickets. We already spent the money. We spent the money.
Yep. Let's be clear. These kids, they clearly have something where they can go only in certain areas of the mall, or the scooters shut off. You couldn't just go everywhere. But it's not fenced in any way. You just get a scooter and then tear ass around the mall. And when I say that these scooters go probably 30 to 50% faster than is advised as an adult, you'd be like, they shouldn't go that fast. And there are 5, 6, 7-year-old kids tearing ass with no guideline. There is not a track for them to stay on. They could slam into other people instantly. I was like, oh, so this mall's the best. It's crazy.
And there's an ice skating rink in the middle. We went at Christmas time, so it was a crazy Christmas setup. Crazy.
There's an entire indoor water park. Separate from
Yeah.
that is an entire indoor Nickelodeon theme park that's legit an impressively sized theme park. There's indoor mini golf. There are, of course, restaurants. There are, of course, stores. There is a very, very... I don't want to talk bad about my home state, but I will say the New Jersey Hall of Fame, which has always been a thing that has existed on paper, has set up like a physical location at the American Dream Mall, and it's kind of sad but kind of amazing. And the best thing they have in there is an exhibit where you can do karaoke, but it's with songs by iconic New Jersey singers, but not like Springsteen and Bon Jovi. They couldn't license them, but you can, to the people watching, it looks like you are singing with a hologram of the person. So like my wife has a video of me doing, I think it was either Moni. Oh no, I think We're Alone Now next to Tommy James from Tommy James and the Shondells, Cedar Grove, New Jersey's own Tommy James. And all of it's ridiculous. The American Dream Mall's honestly one of the best things going. And I was shocked at how much I enjoyed it. I thought I was going to hate it.
It's very cool. I don't know why I mentioned the ice skating rink as if there weren't literally 2 amusement parks in the mall. But we went for the amusement park, so the full ice skating rink surprised me.
You went to the Nickelodeon one?
We went to the Nickelodeon one, yeah.
My son, Cal, I mean, I promised that we were going to close the loop. They had an Avatar The Last Airbender ride that goes entirely upside down. And
yeah.
It's Aang's gliders, and it was something that he should have been scared to do, but because it was Avatar, I just watched him summon a courage and be like, fuck it, I'm doing it. Like, he didn't say that because he's 7, but I watched him have that moment. And then when I tell you I got so stressed out because he instantly got addicted to going on every ride, and I was like, this is still, even if we're in a mall, this is still a New Jersey theme park. New Jersey theme parks have a very, very shocking legacy of just being underregulated with people dying left and right. Can't trust it. I can't watch my son going on these rides. This is insane. And I left early, and Hallie and Cal met me at home because I was having anxiety watching him go on all these insane rides in the middle of a mall. It's true.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ride is like a 90-degree angle.
It's wild. It's really wild. He went on that one too.
That's wild. Okay, I can bring us back.
Anyway.
So,
yes, please tell us where you want to go, because I could talk about the American Dream Mall for an hour easily.
So my pitch to Andrea was, I'm a longtime listener. I started early days, and it's been 10 years famously, and I just feel like I have had a very interesting 10 years, and you have been along with me for that. In so many ways, and I've had different versions of this conversation with you in my head, but most of them, the way I'm going to bring this back is most of them have started with talking about my northern New Jersey roots to get you comfortable and get me comfortable, and I feel like it worked. So I'm nailing
You nailed
that
it.
already.
I'm loose. You're giggling. Our vibes are connecting. This fantasy call of yours, you said butter them up with Jersey shit, and it worked. Well done.
So with that, I'll take you back to 2016. I met my now husband in summer of 2016, and he lived like an hour from where I was living and working at the time. So I spent a lot of time in the car, and I, at the time, had 2 roommates, and he lived alone. So I was doing a lot of driving to his house where there were no roommates. And that is when I started picking up a lot of podcasts, and specifically Beautiful Anonymous, and started listening to it there.
So this show was part of your early foundational romance of your now marriage.
It is. Yeah.
Wow.
So romantic in so many ways.
Lucky to be a part of it.
But the early versions of what I thought this call might be were really rooted in, I'm going to take a dark turn, so sorry. It was so light. My husband's mom had terminal cancer when I met him. And so a lot of my early visions of this call were around kind of the challenges of, well, starting a relationship with someone who had a terminally ill parent. He lived next door to his parents, so we were pretty involved with things. And that was kind of it's just kind of strange to like come in the middle of a terminal illness in a lot of ways too.
I feel like there's so many things that happen in the early phases of a relationship that are magical and intoxicating, but then there's also a totally different set of behavior around how to navigate being around someone's sick loved one. And those two things bumping up against each other in the early days must have caused some tension, or you must have been walking on eggshells at times.
Yeah, and one thing that's kind of strange, and I don't know if this is going to sound like, I don't know, this might not sound great coming out, but we'll go for it. Like, one thing that was challenging I found was, I wanted my family to meet my husband, and a lot of that happens at holidays, but because his mom was terminally ill, obviously he wanted to spend holidays with his mom because you never know when the last one's going to be. And so I just remember that being a challenge early in that I feel like not, people don't want to talk about or like think about that. But definitely, was a hard thing for me to navigate. And I was in my early 20s at the time too. So also just challenging to navigate from someone in their early 20s.
Well, I have found as an adult that one of the hardest things to navigate is conversations around selfishness. Because obviously you want to be selfless, you want to be giving, you want to be a member of a community always. But also, life is difficult, and there's only a handful of times where things feel magical. And if you're going, I'm in love with this guy, and I think he might be the one I'm going to marry, and I have an inkling this might work out long term. I'd love, you got this movie moment in your head of bringing him home for the holidays to meet all the extended fam. That I think that it's one of the strange conversations we don't have enough, which is, of course you're going to be giving, and of course his mom's diagnosis means that you will defer, and of course you might be a little bitter about that, and that's okay. But it feels like it's never okay to be selfish. We are taught that from a young age, but you go, no, some of it's warranted, and some of it's reflective of larger goals or larger excitements or larger moments that are being sacrificed. And that line is a hard one to navigate.
Yeah. And I mean, she had a long-term terminal illness. So she actually, she was diagnosed with cancer over 10 years before she passed.
Wow.
So, and in that period, like, I was around for 6 of those years. My dad ended up having open heart surgery in there somewhere. He's okay, but, that was really scary. And I remember even kind of thinking, it could have been my last Thanksgiving with my dad too, or, things like that. And it was just very complicated feelings. And just like you said, you want to be selfless, and I definitely feel like I know that I put a lot of things on hold in my life to help support the family too, but then there comes like the trade-offs there, and when it's years of trade-offs that I don't know, it gets really challenging.
I'll ask a question that, because look, we can say it and it's anonymous, and I hear you, and it sounds like you did the right thing, and it sounds like you guys navigated these conversations, but a terminal diagnosis is a terminal diagnosis. But when you hit like the 4th Christmas in a row with someone else's family, like you're laughing right now, but I'm wondering, like, did you ever have that conversation with your husband or even his mom before she passed of like, hey, like, we're going on year 5. Like, how do you feel about us going in a different direction? Like, did you have those conversations?
I definitely the first year, I think I was very much like, yes, your family, your holidays. I don't remember like specifically when, but I definitely started kind of being like, we can trade years, do the 50-50 thing the way a lot of families do. And the thing that's, I don't know if this is true of everyone. This is the closest I've been to someone who had, like I said, a long-term terminal illness. But there were often like phases where things felt more dire than other times. I specifically remember Christmas time of 2019. Her oncologist said, she's going to die in the next calendar year. And she did not. But there were definitely like ebbs and flows of things like that would come up. And that too, though, the first time you hear it, you're like, okay, we really got to take this seriously. But then, when we're 3 Christmases past that, you're like, well,
I want to see my mom too. You're like, I want to see my mom. I want to see my mom on Christmas.
Yeah.
And I know I'm being a little bit of a toddler about it, but also I want to see my mom on Christmas sometimes.
Yeah.
How did you handle it? How did it end up? I mean, in those years, obviously you mentioned that she eventually did pass.
Mm-hmm.
Were there fights? Was there push and pull?
I think there was a little push and pull. I think my husband would tell you I'm a fairly strong and opinionated person, and I make my opinions known. So I think I was probably easier in the first few years, and then kind of eased, and then like at some point I did push. It does help. My husband grew up Jewish, so I was able to just kind of finagle that a little bit.
Okay. So some years when Hanukkah and Christmas don't directly cross over, we can book a flight in between.
Yeah. So that was helpful too, for sure. Yeah. But the story does get a little bit juicier.
And we're going to pause. That's an understatement. I'm telling you, it gets a lot juicier. You will see how when we get back. You got diets, you got workouts, you got endless advice coming from every direction. It is hard to know what actually works for weight loss and what's worth your time. That's why Hers offers access to an affordable range of FDA-approved GLP-1 medications that now includes the Wegovy pill and the Wegovy pen. With Wegovy at Hers, lose up to 20% or more of your body weight when combined with diet and exercise. Helps you regulate your appetite, eat less, and keep weight off. Plus, Wegovy is the first ever GLP-1 pill for weight loss, so there's no needles needed. Everything's 100% online through Hers. You'll connect with a licensed provider who will determine if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is delivered right to your door, no insurance necessary. And it doesn't stop there. Weight Loss by Hers goes beyond medication by offering access to 24/7 messaging with your care team and tons of in-app lifestyle and nutrition tips like recipes, meal plans, fitness videos, sleep content, and more. Even better, with a range of affordable GLP-1 options, Hers makes it simple to find an approach that fits your needs and your budget. If eligible, you'll get a treatment plan personalized to you and unlimited dosage changes as needed. It's weight loss designed to work with your life. Ready to reach your goals? Visit forhers.com/beautiful to get personalized, affordable care that gets you. That's forhers.com/beautiful, forhers.com/beautiful. Weight Loss by Hers is not available in all 50 states. Wegovy is the registered trademark of Novo Nordisk AS. To get started and learn more, including important safety information, Wegovy clinical study information, and restrictions, visit forhers.com. The fastest growing businesses aren't necessarily doing more, they are delegating smarter. Upwork helps you bring in expert freelance help fast so you can delegate and keep moving. Upwork is a one-stop platform to find, hire, and pay expert freelancers across web and software development, data and analytics, marketing, business operations, and more. Upwork helps grow your business by giving you fast access to specialized talent across 125 plus categories, so you can fill skill gaps, launch projects faster, and scale support up or down without committing to full-time headcount. You can browse profiles, review past work, get help scoping the role so you can hire with confidence and get started quickly. With Business Plus, you can access the top 1% of talent on Upwork. And with AI-powered shortlisting, you'll get matched to the right freelancer in under 6 hours. No endless searching required. Upwork also cuts down operational hassle by handling things like contracts and payments in one place, so you can spend time running your actual business. There's thousands of growing businesses who already trust Upwork to hire flexible, high-quality freelance talent for everything from one-off projects to ongoing support. It's free to sign up. Posting a job is easy. Visit Upwork.com right now. Post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to connect with top talent ready to help your business grow. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com. When people hear that Mint Mobile plans are only $15 a month, a lot of them wonder, what's the catch? Well, I can tell you there's no catch. No gimmicks, there's no gotchas, just unlimited talks, text, and data, fast, reliable coverage on the nation's largest 5G network, and an award-winning care team. I guess that makes Mint Mobile the catch. They are the catch. You switch to Mint. I'm telling you, when you switch to Mint, you realize prices go down, service stays the same, quality at times goes up, and all of a sudden you feel the breathing room, and your wallet is not being taken advantage of. It's really incredible. Mint Mobile took what's wrong with wireless and made it right with premium wireless for $15 a month. You can even bring your current phone and your number. Choose from 3, 6, or 12-month plans and say goodbye to a monthly bill. Ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile. It's so easy. Sign up online. Get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/beautiful. That's mintmobile.com/beautiful. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/beautiful. That's it. There's no catch. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower, above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Thanks to our advertisers. Now let's get back to the phone call.
The story does get a little bit juicier. So I mentioned actually in December of 2019, her oncologist said that they didn't think she'd kind of lived through the following year, which actually it must have been 2018. It's not that important except for like the 2020 of it all. But I actually, funnily enough, I think I was listening to the Love is Everywhere follow-up, and that inspired me to start therapy, or actually start therapy. So I, after that, found a therapist, and, we had just been told she was likely going to pass in the not-so-distant future, and I just felt like I needed to get therapy for myself, but also I lived with my then boyfriend, now husband. His dad lived next door with his mom, so I just kind of felt like there was going to, when she did pass, there was going to be a lot of weight on my shoulders, and so I thought it was a good time to start therapy and start figuring that out. But 1 week exactly after my first ever therapy appointment, it came out that my husband's dad had been cheating on his mom, my husband's mom, for, I think it was like 5 or 6 years at the time. He had he had a girlfriend, and I mean, in many ways, like a whole nother life outside of what we knew.
And you're sitting here going, I've been feeling guilty about wanting to skip Thanksgiving. Right? You're like,
ways,
I was feeling bad for wanting to go skip Thanksgiving, and this guy's building. So Did that affair start before her diagnosis? Or
I believe
concurrent
it was
with it?
after her diagnosis, as I understand, if I'm remembering the timeline
Wow.
correctly. Mm-hmm.
And everyone was blindsided. His mom was blindsided. His siblings, everybody was blindsided by this?
Yes, there were a couple people who knew, like some of my father-in-law's friends. My father-in-law's parents knew, but his siblings didn't. There was like a little bit of, who knew what kind of thing. But yeah, everyone was pretty blindsided. It wasn't.
How was it discovered?
So my mother-in-law asked him. So there were signs, I do remember fairly early in my relationship with my husband that one day I came home. We were going to have dinner with his parents, and I think I maybe had picked up dinner, but his dad wasn't there, and my husband was like, "Oh, we'll just start without him. He's not answering his phone. This happens sometimes. Like, it's fine, whatever." And I remember in that moment thinking, so he's having an affair and everyone just is fine with that? Because that's weird that someone would just sometimes not answer their phone when they're planning to have dinner with people. So I will say, while no one knew, it wasn't a total blindside. And yeah, my mother-in-law did ask him point blank about it, because there were signs.
Brutal.
Yeah, but she was
brutal.
She was very upset, rightfully, and my father-in-law, he spent the night at our house for like 2 nights and then kind of moved in with his girlfriend, and they've been living together ever since. My mother-in-law stayed in the house, which was next to where we lived, and then we really kind of became the primary caregivers for her, which was, even a bigger burden that we started carrying at that point. From there.
Now, I need to be very clear. I don't think it's cool to start a second secret family when you have a spouse with a terminal disease.
You want to go on the record with that?
I need to say up front before I say anything else that some of what I'm about to say is just kind of putting some thoughts out there to get your reaction and some devil's advocate stuff. But I did just say that there's all these conversations about selfishness and what selfish behavior is warranted during times of duress and where things are hard. Now, I think this clearly crosses ethical lines. I think everyone would agree. I have to imagine that maybe the conversations with your father-in-law were him going, I've been grieving her while she's alive, in the same way that you and I were kind of having a dark laugh about, hey, after year 4, I just want to go see my parents on Thanksgiving, that I don't want to excuse it in any way or even claim that I'm saying devil's advocate too hard, but I would imagine that maybe these are some of the conversations he brought up. I don't know.
I don't know their relationship before she was diagnosed. I only know it after. But from what I understand, they didn't have a super great relationship before she was diagnosed. I've heard some things about they had talked about divorce at different times. And then I think she got diagnosed and he was like, okay, I'll step up. I'll be here for you. And then I do kind of get the sense, like we were having a dark laugh about that, on year 4 or so, I think it was a little bigger and longer than what he thought he was signing up for when he agreed to, see her through the illness.
And again, there's no world in which I'm trying to say, like, actually, I get it. I'm not saying that at all. But I can imagine that if he's flirtatious with someone and it's going good and he's going, my wife is about to pass, so maybe I want to fan the flames of this because it seems like there might be a second act here. And then years later, it's still going on. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that's good, but I go, ooh, I can see how you get from point A to point B on that in a way that's maybe 3 to 5% less scumbaggy than I initially thought when you dropped it, which is not giving much grace. What's your and your husband's relationship with him now? Because you said he's still with that partner. I can't imagine that your husband is thrilled to be around those people.
He is not. It was years before we met the partner. It actually wasn't until my husband's mom actually passed, and I think it was a year after she passed that my husband finally agreed to meet my father-in-law's girlfriend.
That speaks impressively to your husband's ability to forgive or to consider forgiveness. I have to imagine a lot of people would go, how about this? How about I never fucking meet that person and you deal with it, It speaks massive amounts about your husband's ability to open his mind. Yeah,
and we've maintained a fairly good relationship with his dad throughout. My husband was working for his dad when the breakup first happened.
Oh, no. It just keeps getting more tangled up.
It's so tangled. So he didn't really have the option to just cut him off at that time.
God damn, that's fucked up. That feels manipulative in some ways, maybe unintentionally, who knows?
But yeah, so that helped maintain the relationship, I think. But yeah, it was definitely not great for a really long time. And my husband still has a lot of resentment for his dad in that he had to care for his mom, really, was a lot of where his resentment was. Like, he was mad that he was the one left to care for and left to figure out, all this stuff. I started working a hybrid work schedule so that I could help keep an eye on her during the day, but also help drive her to chemo appointments and things like that. There was, I started doing her grocery shopping. It was so much. I had a lot of resentment towards him too, because it really flipped our lives upside down, for sure.
You are left holding the bag on a situation that's tragic, that's intense, that's very sad. And both for you and your husband, there's something to be said for a partner is a partner and a kid is a kid. And those are different relationships. And for a kid, for the failings of a partner to mean that a kid has to, with zero notice, like flipping a switch, go from being a kid grieving a parent's loss to being a caretaker, which you expected a partner to fill that function.
Yeah.
Mentally just so not cool to throw into anyone else's lap.
Yeah. But I think in terms of like forgiveness, at least for my husband, some of it at least came down to, he has one living parent, and having this challenging relationship where they're kind of tiptoeing around his dad's partner made it more challenging to have that relationship and have a strong relationship with his only remaining living parent. So that kind of helped him work towards that forgiveness, I think. It's
also, I'm going to say something that's kind of a dark joke, but kind of just real. Like, there's some part of me that's like, do you even need to have that fight over and over again? Like, does your husband need to confront his dad over and over again? Because it's such a remarkable, how would you even phrase it? Like moral failing that you almost know. And I'm not wishing this on anybody, but in a way that must be freeing for your husband. Like his dad, when his dad is on his deathbed, it's one of the last things he's going to think about is this really fucked up thing. Like, there's just no way that that's not a thing that you think about in those final moments. So at that point, does your husband even need to reiterate the guilt? Does he need to underline it? Like, it's, nobody would question that some dark choices were made.
Yeah. 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 And like you said, I mean, we have a good relationship with my father-in-law now. I agree. I mean, I can see where we got there. Not to say that it was the right choice not to, relieve him of any guilt that he should feel, but I can definitely see how we got where we got there. But I do still hold some of my own frustration, especially around, how much was left for my husband and I to kind of hold together. Like I said, this happened. Yeah, it happened in 2018. But we were caring for her in 2020. And that was very scary. And, talking about the selfishness and everything there, that you kind of got me on a theme. But because she had a terminal illness and because she was immunocompromised, we were very locked down in a way that not a lot of my friends and my family necessarily were. And that meant that I was seeing my family even less because we couldn't risk, we couldn't risk seeing my family and then exposing her, because we were living with her and we were her primary caregivers. And that was a huge burden.
Can I ask, you started dating in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
What year did you actually get married?
2022.
And what year did father-in-law
2018.
Get caught?
End of 2018. Beginning of 2019. Yeah.
So I feel like I can ask this because it didn't go in this direction, but what stopped you from just going, this family's really, I got to get the fuck out of here? What stopped you from that? Because you must have thought about it.
I mean, I do feel like when my husband's dad moved out, I felt like a duty almost. Like I was like, we're stepping up. We're going to do this. We're going to figure it out. And even though it was hard and I had a lot of resentment towards a lot of different parties, I think it just felt like my responsibility. Like I don't actually even know if I thought I got to get out of here. I think I just felt like it was up to us to kind of hold things together, and up to me in some ways, because obviously my husband was going through a lot too.
Now, when you guys finally get married in 2022, after all this, does your husband, like when the officiant gets to the part of the vows that's like, hey, so in sickness and health and rich or poor, is your husband like, no, you can skip all this shit. I have implicit trust she will stand by me through anything. This has been product tested out in the real world. She's got my back. I don't got to worry about that.
Well, it's interesting because I mean, you could probably figure this out, but he didn't want to get married for a while. Like, in 2019, I definitely thought we were going to get married. And then pretty soon after, he was like, no, I don't know if I'll ever get married. And we had a lot of really hard conversations around that because I wanted to get married. And yeah, which Like I said,
and I'm glad it worked out, but also no one has ever had more justified, complicated relationships with the institution of marriage than your husband.
So,
but jeez.
But after 2020, it was like 2021, 2021. So prior to COVID, my husband and I had talked a lot about moving on to a sailboat. My husband grew up sailing. He'd always wanted to. There's lots of YouTubers that he would watch.
Did
all
not
the
expect
time.
that. Have to say, did not expect that sentence to come out.
So prior to COVID, we had talked about it. We actually were even planning to move onto our boat before COVID, and then we didn't really want to live in a marina during COVID. But also the other thing that we were really struggling with was we were his mom's primary caregivers, and so moving on to the sailboat did mean leaving her. But there did get a point that it did get to a point where, how long do you just wait before you have to move on with your own life? Like how long could we wait to do something for ourselves, in that we were just kind of waiting for her to die so we could do that, and that didn't feel like a great solution either. So yeah, in 2021, we officially moved on to the sailboat, and we lived on that for a year.
Okay. So you're back to being a landlubber. You're back to being a landlubber like the rest of us.
We are. Yeah, I am now. I will say I really struggled on the boat. I like grocery shopping and stuff. And the sailing has always been my husband's thing. And I thought I would pick it up a little more than I did. And so I think I really struggled too with relying on him for so much.
Caller?
Yes.
Your vibes are so good and your laugh is so good that I feel like I can say this.
Oh, no.
Let's go ahead and pause right there because I'm pushing it. I'm right on that line. Am I going to offend or are we going to laugh? Turns out we're going to laugh. We're going to get so much more story when we get back. Honestly, this one's like still getting started. It's amazing. Okay, we'll be right back. TaskRabbit. I am so happy to tell you about TaskRabbit. This one is a no-brainer because TaskRabbit has saved me in so many situations. One that I will never forget is the time that my son, who at this time was about 4 or 5 and thought it was really fun to jump out and scare me, jumped out and scared me when the dishwasher happened to be open behind me and I fell on it, destroying our dishwasher. I ordered a new dishwasher and it arrived and I had paid for installation and that communication got really messed up. I won't name the place I bought it from, but it was not ideal and we had guests coming over. It was a whole nightmare scenario. I said, there's only one place where I know I can get help. TaskRabbit. Went on there. It was a holiday weekend, by the way. Someone was there within hours. On top of it, the hardware provided wasn't totally correct for the system that needed to go and connect with my plumbing, blah, blah, blah. This guy was able to make it work, improvise it. The thing's been running fine. Stepped up on a holiday weekend, saved me last minute. And that's the type of thing that TaskRabbit is out here doing. Your taskers are out here stepping up to the plate and delivering. It's amazing. TaskRabbit is incredible, really is. Allows people who have skills to put those skills to use and allows you to put those skills into use in your home where they are needed. When your to-do list keeps growing, TaskRabbit is ready to help. Pick a trusted tasker. They'll show up and get it done. Taskers are often available to help the same day. I can vouch for that, as you hear from my story. TaskRabbit connects you with skilled taskers in your area for moving, furniture assembly, home repairs, yard work, mounting, and more. You can search for a tasker based on cost, skill set, availability, and past client reviews, so you know exactly who's showing up and can have confidence that they know what they are doing. Because taskers have assembled over 3.4 million pieces of furniture, completed 700,000 home repairs, handled 1.5 million moves, and counting, I'm telling you, I've used TaskRabbit for so many years and have had so much stress removed from my life by bringing people who they put out what their skills are. I know what I need. We link up. It's really a good, fair, dare I say, democratic system. I like it a lot. You will too. When life happens, your to-do list grows. Get ahead of it now. Get $15 off your first task at TaskRabbit.com or on the TaskRabbit app using promo code BEAUTIFUL. Taskers book up fast, especially for same-day tasks, so book trusted home help today. That's $15 off your first task by using the promo code BEAUTIFUL with the TaskRabbit app or at TaskRabbit.com. Support for today's episode comes from Square, a system that I have used many times to great effect and that I'm so happy to tell you about because it's a system that fixes one of the biggest headaches in running a business. Starting a business is exciting. That's really fun, right? It's running it where things get complicated. You got payments, you got inventory, staff, scheduling, online orders, reports, and somehow you're still supposed to be available and actually serve your customers. Get back to that. Square brings all of that into one place. Whether you're selling lattes, cutting hair, detailing cars, running a design studio, Square helps you run your business without running yourself into the ground. And right now, listeners can get up to $200 off Square hardware when you sign up at square.com/go/beautiful. That's SQUARE.com/go/beautiful. Visit Square to get started because the right tools make all the difference. And I can tell you personally that Square has helped me so much. When I started going out on the road a ton, you got to sell t-shirts, you got to sell all sorts of stuff, pins and books and all these things to help supplement a living as an artist these days. One of the biggest questions we all had was, man, everybody pays for everything with credit cards these days. I don't really want to walk around with big wads of crumpled up cash anyway, but what do? Square saved my butt. I remember when that Square Reader came out and you could plug it right into your phone. It was a game changer, and they're constantly advancing. All of the technology, just Square is on top of it. And then what I didn't realize was using it as an inventory tracker, using it as a way to sit down and figure out, you know, the table was really busy one night and you don't even know how much you made in any given place, and they can help you track all of that so you make sure your taxes don't get messed up. It's just absolutely great. And on top of it, there's loyalty points. You got to love that. Square has been stepping up for small businesses for so many years, and I have experienced that personally, and they just keep getting better. That's one of the things I respect about them. They don't sit around and just coast on the thing that's already been working. They are a step ahead of the technology as it's constantly changing. Kudos to them. I really like them. There's all sorts of business owner problems that they have to fix for. You can take payments in person, online, on the go, track your inventory and sales automatically, manage your team and schedules, see what's actually making you money. All those analytics are gold. It's not just a point of sale system. It's a system that keeps everything in sync behind the scenes. And it's not just fast, not just smart, not just transparent. It's built for the way people actually run their businesses. There's no contracts, no hidden fees, no complicated installs, just tools that accept all the major payment methods. You can tap, you can chip, Apple Pay, pay online, let you see your sales and inventory in real time across all your channels, help you access your earnings immediately with Square Banking. And I'm telling you, I use it myself. I have for years, and Square has saved my butt so many times. If you're starting a business or running one that deserves better tools, Square helps you sell, manage, and grow without slowing down. Right now, you can get up to $200 off Square hardware at square.com/go/beautiful. That's SQUARE.com/GO/beautiful. Run your business smarter with Square. Get started today. Beautiful Anonymous is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states. Thank you again to all of our advertisers. Now, let's finish off the phone call. Caller,
Yes.
your vibes are so good and your laugh is so good that I feel like I can say this.
Oh, no.
There are so many people listening, I can almost guarantee, who are going, if I got put in a situation where I was dating someone, every holiday bent towards a sickness in their family, which is not something to judge, but it's just the reality. Within the midst of that, family drama unfolded where the nuclear family exploded, and that also led to you unexpectedly after just a couple of years of dating someone, becoming one of the primary caregivers of a terminally ill relative, while also navigating watching your boyfriend's father, the most influential male, influence him, betray the sanctity of marriage, and then on top of it, to pursue what sounds like your boyfriend's dream and certainly not yours. You got forced to live on a fucking boat for a year. There are a lot of people who go, I would not have made it to the point of marriage with this man.
So
you're aware of this, right?
Yeah. Well, I called my mom from the sailboat one day. We'd been living on it for at least 6 months. Or actually, they came to visit. Not important. But I told my mom, so, I think we are going to get married after all, while we were, on the boat. And she just said, well, not a lot of people would go from living on a boat to deciding to get married. So that seems like things are going well enough.
Caller, you, one thing I have learned through this phone call full of twisted turns is that you are a resilient and adaptable human being.
I told you we had many versions of this call in my head, Chris.
This is wild stuff. The boat thing to me almost feels maybe the wildest thing in your pre-married life, because this one was in your guys' control. This was after early years of complete unpredictable chaos. You then chose to live on a boat for a year, and that didn't break you up. This is the strongest relationship I ever heard of. Did you sail around the world, or were you? We got 17 and a half minutes left. But were you sailing around the world, or mostly just living in a marina? What did that year entail?
So I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Maryland. I don't really care. We went up to Boston and then back down the coast of the East Coast. And then we spent 3 months in the Bahamas.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
When I was going to say, when you just said Boston, I was about to be like, you fucking drive from Baltimore to Boston in 6 hours.
You
have to live on a boat. You got to live on a boat for a year to see Boston. You could take an Amtrak from Baltimore to Boston. You get there in 4 hours. You get Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Bahamas makes it cooler.
We worked full time on the boat for 9 months. And then when we went to the Bahamas, we both quit our jobs to be in the Bahamas.
Was that fun?
Sometimes. It's so remote. I had a really hard time with the remoteness of it. You'd go to the grocery store and all the fresh food in the grocery store would be rotten because the mailboat didn't come, because the weather didn't work. So they don't have fresh food, and all the restaurants are out of fresh food because the mailboat didn't come. So it was, and that's really, and people live there. So it was very eye-opening to me in many of the privileges I have living in America and living, in a life of cars and grocery stores and ultimate supplies. But I really struggled with some of those little comforts of life.
Can your husband can never win an argument with you? You're aware of this, right? And that honestly lasts until the end of time. For real. If he's like, I'm in the mood to go out for Italian tonight, and you're like, I was thinking Chinese, and he's like, I'm really in the mood for Italian, you can instantly turn around and be like, remember that time that I helped navigate your mother's passing while your family disintegrated around us because of the actions of your father, and then you forced me to live on a fucking boat for a year? We're getting fucking Chinese. We're getting fucking Chinese, actually, is what we're doing.
You forced me to live
pipe
on a
down.
boat. I like to
Pipe down.
travel. I liked the idea of
That is not what that was.
traveling.
You grace-filled, you compassion-filled, grace-granting human being. You just said that you went and saw Boston and then you went to the Bahamas where most of it, my first question was like, was that fun? And you said most of it was defined by the lack of nutrition and the presence of rotting vegetables.
I grew sprouts on the boat, so we would have fresh greens.
Never. You get Chinese. He never gets to win an argument. He doesn't even get to register a complaint as far as I'm concerned. These early years are chaos. But I'm glad it worked out. I am truly glad that it works out. And I'm giving you the business a little bit, but holy shit. I have stopped dating people because I'm like, their job intimidates me. Like, they got a cool job, and that intimidates me. And that led to us, my insecurity about it led to us stop dating. You're like, one parent's dying, the other has done a Shakespearean level of betrayal, and then we lived on a boat in what sounds like was a very romantic idea, and the execution did not match the romance of the idea at all. Like, that's so wild.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's wild. I'm so glad it worked out, though. It does make me believe that this was meant to be in true love, because you put up with so much in those early years, huh?
I don't look at it like that. That's so funny. But yeah, that's fairly accurate. That's an accurate read.
I'm sure he's great, and I'm sure you guys have an incredible time together. But just based on the bullet points you have given me, that is one of the most hurricane-like beginnings to a relationship I could ever picture.
Yeah, not wrong. I mean, don't get me wrong. I lived many people's dream living on the boat, and I do look back on it with rose-colored glasses, but I do also remember sitting on the side of the boat and thinking, what if I just fell into the water and faded away? So it wasn't all great.
So you did contemplate soft suicide. Not full-on suicide, but soft.
Just like an accidental,
Like, if the wind blew too hard right now, would I even try to grab onto the railing? Or would I just let it be? You had one of those.
Yeah.
We joke, but I also know those moments in life. We've got 12 minutes left. You are full of stories. I need to hear more.
I have one more turn. This is more recent. This is the past year. And this one was my idea. So just about a year ago, 4th of July weekend last year, 2025, we began fostering 2 kids, one 8 and one 12.
Are they siblings?
They are siblings, yes. They came, we had gotten our official certification at the end of June, and on July 3rd, we got an email and a call from a social worker asking if we could just watch them for the weekend. They were getting moved from one house to another, but there was some paperwork that needed to get finalized. And so they asked if we could keep them for the weekend. My husband happened to be going away that weekend to visit some friends, but I was going to be home, and I was like, I can do this.
He does not cancel the friend trip?
I was like, I can do this. And we could have said no, but I was like, I am capable. I'm capable. I'm strong and capable. And so, so they were supposed to stay the weekend. Then, like, Monday, they called and they said, hey, can you keep them till Tuesday for this appointment? And then it was Friday, and then it was, seems to be going well. Can you just keep them until? And we also were told that they were on the road to being reunified with their mom, and there was court in August, and that would be kind of the first step towards reunification. They would start getting unsupervised visits, and by the end of the calendar year, they may be moving back in with their mom, or kind of, we might start transitioning the move back to their mom. And that, none of that happened.
Are the children still with you?
They are still with us.
Wow. So for a year, you've been raising two kids.
Yeah. We went from no kids to 8 and 12 literally overnight. Yeah.
I feel like people who take in foster children are some of the most selfless people on earth. And I've also heard that it can be a very challenging job.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. Like, people do say, like, you know, it's very selfless. In it, it feels less selfless. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it doesn't feel selfish for sure. But sometimes I say, like, it can be really frustrating, and it surprises me sometimes how frustrated I can get with kids that I know have been through some serious trauma and some serious, like, loss in their lives and instability. And I think sometimes it brings out a side of me that I didn't realize it would. And I think that's true of probably all parents, but it's definitely more challenging than I thought I would be able to keep my cool more than I have.
So they've been through a full school year in the school district where you live. Are they going to the public schools?
They do go to the public schools. They actually go to the schools that they were previously going to. They get bused
that's cool.
from our house to their school, which is
that's great. That means there's counselors and teachers who are aware of their situation. There's friend groups that have been established since they started school. That's good. That's on some level a help. That's nice. Yeah. But
it's good. And we've kept them in a lot of the activities they were previously in. The 12-year-old plays football, so we drive him to that practice. And the 8-year-old does gymnastics. And we've maintained where they were previously doing those activities too, so, for some consistency.
And do you, probably an impossible question to answer, but when you have a sense from the start of, hey, the goal here is reunification, there's psychologically, you're kind of surfing on a wave a little bit, where on one level you want to give these kids all the affection and love that an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old need, especially when there's clear, nobody winds up with foster parents because things are stable, like they come from some sort of tumultuous situation. But you also know that the goal is that these kids will be moving on, which is, you don't want to play games with them and you don't want to play games with yourself, but you do want to be all in as part of this experience. I don't know if there's training for this in particular. Like, on one level, it feels like attachment is part of bonding that kids need, but also to tease them and yourself with a sense of attachment might feel weird or out of bounds, but that might create some coldness. Like, there's all sorts of layers to this, huh?
Yeah, and they give you training, but I mean, as you can probably imagine, it's impossible to train for this. I do sometimes think back on some of the trainings and some of the strategies that they gave us, but it's impossible. every family's different and everyone's goals are different. My husband and I have never really had the intentional goal of adoption in our past period. So we went in looking at, just being a safe place for as long as we could. But you're right, there is like a level of complexity with that. Like, we have never said I love you to the kids. The kids have never said that to us. But I do know foster families that have said that the first week and the first day in a way that we just haven't. And it's different kid by kid. It's different parent by parent. Our kids are very close to their mom, although the reunification path is looking less and less likely. They are still in contact, and they very much have a mom. Some kids do not have parents that same way.
Mm-hmm. So you are safe harbor, you're a roof over the head, your food on the table, your stability, your predictability. And then I'm sure there are some emotions that go beyond that, but that probably don't fit easy categorization.
Yeah. That is true. And it's complicated, and especially for the 12-year-old who's now 13, it's, I think, specifically hard for him to balance his relationship with his mom and his relationship with us. She was in jail for a period of time this year while we've had them, and while she was in jail, I felt like he opened up to us more. I felt like he was a little more part of the family, if you will. But once she got out of jail and once he was like in more regular contact, I definitely felt him pull away from us because, he has a mom. He doesn't need me. He doesn't need us.
Right. Whereas an 8-year-old is still, it's also one of those things too, when you realize with that age separation where you go, oh, right, an 8-year-old, you could watch a movie on the couch, and if the kid starts cuddling you, that feels with an 8-year-old, that feels, is the word appropriate? Like, I'm not implying anything would be inappropriate, but a 12-year-old is probably not going to feel like he can lean over and start cuddling with someone he met 2 or 3 months ago on movie night. It's
Correct.
Past an age point where that's part of the behavior pattern for that kid.
Correct.
So that bonding isn't there in that same way as it is with the little one. And then I also have to imagine if there's a little bit more bonding with the little one, then the older one might also see that, and that might create some tension there. Man, you really know how to dive into some situations short notice, huh?
Sometimes I say I'm constantly like, what would the hardest thing to do be? And I would like that one. That's the option.
But you know what? That indicates a level of stress that I'm sure is very real, and you and I have been laughing a lot, but I also just need to say out loud, like, you are someone who has taken on the hardest options, but also at a relatively young age, you have helped people who are passing away, and you have helped kids. I know that that's hard, and I know that you're kind of joking about it, but I also just need you to know, like, we're lucky that people like you are around. The rest of us are lucky because there's people like you. And I'm getting choked up saying it. But, like, I hear you talking, and I hear the strain and the pressure and you saying how hard it is, but, like, God damn, everybody's lucky that people like you are born into the world. And I'm sure you got your flaws too, but just based on what I've heard today, it's true.
Yeah, I mean, it's so the kids. I mean, the kids are going to move out at the end of this school year. I'm hoping they move in with an aunt. They're working on that right now. That would definitely feel more satisfying to me for them to move in with an aunt, to move in with some family. But that even was a really hard decision and something I've kind of wrestled a lot with. Especially we have good days. Like, we went to the movies just this weekend. The weather was terrible for Memorial Day, so we went to the movies, and then we went out to hibachi, and it was a pretty good day. And sometimes I think of those good days, and I'm like, well, I could do more of these, but a lot of them are not good days. Most of them are not good days, and I just have to know my own limits there too, and know specifically, I say for the 13-year-old, I'm not the best person to parent him. I think he needs someone that's a little, I don't want to say stricter necessarily, but better at holding boundaries is probably more accurate than I am. He definitely is a kid that's going to, and given his situation specifically, he's going to push the boundaries. And I know I haven't done the best at maintaining those, but I do get frustrated when they're crossed. And so I just think I know it would be better for him to be with, a different family. And I hope to maintain a relationship with him, both kids, but, and I think that will be easier to do if I'm not their parent.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it is a level of sacrifice most people don't ever sniff. And our time is actually up. We're going to go behind the paywall at beautifulanonymous.com for more time with our caller. I feel silly plugging something, but I just want to reiterate, like, I hear that exhaustion that you're closing with. I hear that recognition of like, oh, so there are like limits to what I can do, and there's some frustration there. But you seem to be, based on this phone call, someone who's very personable with a good sense of humor, but who has also consistently in life realized, well, sometimes you make hard choices where you sacrifice a lot to do the right thing and help other people in need. And that just really, it is an impressive level of character. And we've laughed a lot throughout this call, even though at times things have been dark, but I'm finding myself actually really emotional at the end, because you seem to be someone that looks at situation and goes, can I put my comfort aside if it'll help somebody who really needs it? And you seem to be someone who consistently says, yep, that's the thing you do. And I'm very impressed by it.
Just try to make the world a little better and do my part to make it that way.
I think that's an amazing note to end on for the people on the free feed. You want to say goodbye to those on the free feed, and we'll continue over at beautifulanonymous.com.
All right. Bye, free feed. It's worth the money if you have it.
Caller, thank you so much sincerely for calling, for opening up, for continuing to just dive deeper into things that have happened, people you've been around, sacrifices you've made, all of these stories that add up to you being a really inspiring human being. Thank you so much for sharing your story so sincerely. Thank you to Andrea Quinn for producing the show. Thank you to Shellshag for the theme music. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us in the Facebook group. That's where people discuss episodes. Sign up at beautifulanonymous.com. It's the best way to support the show. It's only a couple bucks a month. And most of all, tell people we're out here. Please let people know that we exist. 10 years. Some people forgot. Tell them. Thanks. Bye. This week on Beautiful Anonymous Plus, here's some of what you'll get from the 5 questions. Final question. This one's nuts. Okay, this one's nuts. Again, from the early days before names were attached to them.
Wait, did you sunset the Avatar question after the Avatar episode?
I was going to, but if you want me to, I can check in. Do you have any opinions about the 2005 Nickelodeon cartoon Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Oh my God, I was ready. I've been ready.
I did say we were going to close the loop and not go there anymore, but since you asked, I'm happy to discuss. Don't forget to sign up for Beautiful Anonymous Plus at beautifulanonymous.com. Beautiful Anonymous is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.